Have you ever felt like you're running, but you don't even know where the finish line is? Waking up with that heavy emptiness, scrolling through your phone, comparing yourself to people who look like they've figured it all out, while deep down you're barely holding it together. Life isn't about the number of hours you grind or the trophies you collect. It's about whether you're actually alive inside. And right now, most of us are half asleep. Shetty once said, "Don't let someone else's opinion of you become your reality." But that's exactly what happens when we live unconsciously. We let society hand us scripts: get the job, chase the money, buy the car, smile on Instagram. And yet the nights are restless. The mornings are heavy. Success on the outside, silence and shame on the inside. That is the trap. That is the illusion. Think about it. How many times have you smiled in public while you were breaking in private? How many times have you told yourself, "I'm fine," when you weren't even close? We've been trained to measure life in achievements, but no one taught us how to measure meaning. That's why Jay says, the biggest room in the world is the room for self-improvement. Because if you don't wake up to the truth, you'll spend your entire life climbing a ladder that was leaning against the wrong wall. Picture this. A man wins the promotion he's dreamed about for years. He throws a party, buys the champagne, posts the photo online. Yet that same night, he sits on the edge of his bed staring at the ceiling, feeling a hollowness no applause could fill. On the outside he has everything. On the inside, he's drowning. This isn't rare. It's normal. And that's terrifying. We're surrounded by noise. Notifications, deadlines, opinions, pressure. It's so loud out there that we've gone deaf in here, inside our own souls. The more we define ourselves by what we're not, the more we lose sight of who we truly are. Jay reminds us. And maybe that's why you feel lost after a breakup, or why failure crushes you deeper than it should. Because you've tied your worth to someone else's presence, or someone else's definition of success. But what if there were secrets, timeless, life-changing truths, that could shatter that illusion? Secrets that monks carried in silence. Secrets Shetty has spoken about, but rarely revealed in their rawest form. The kind of wisdom that doesn't just motivate you for a moment, but rewires the way you breathe, love, and live. You see, we don't miss these secrets because they're complicated. We miss them because we're distracted. They hide in plain sight, waiting for us to pause long enough to see them. The tragedy is, most people never pause. They keep running faster and faster, deeper into emptiness, until one day they wake up at 50 or 60, realizing they never truly lived. And by then, regret becomes the loudest voice in the room. But you're here. You pressed play. That means something inside you is tired of pretending. Something inside you is whispering, there's more to life than this. There has to be. That whisper is the beginning. That whisper is the door. Jay often says, when you learn a little, you feel you know a lot. But when you learn a lot, you realize you know very little. This is the humility we need to step into. To admit, maybe everything we thought would make us happy isn't enough. Maybe the world doesn't need a better version of who we pretend to be. Maybe it needs the raw, awakened version of who we really are. So imagine for a moment, what if you stopped chasing and started listening? What if you discovered the keys that could realign your life, not just to success, but to purpose? Wouldn't that be worth it? Or are you willing to gamble your one life on routines that are slowly killing your spirit? This isn't about theories. This isn't about vague positivity. This is about 5 specific, life-altering secrets. Each one has the power to cut through the lies you've been sold, the heartbreak that's been breaking you, and the failures that have been defining you. Together, they are the roadmap out of the fog. But here's the catch. You won't hear them in classrooms. You won't find them scrolling endlessly on your phone. You find them only if you dare to stop numbing yourself and start awakening yourself. That's why they're life-changing. Because they demand courage. And yet, the greatest tragedy isn't missing out on success. It's missing out on yourself. On the man you could have been, the woman you could have become, the life you could have lived. That's what happens when you ignore these truths. You don't just lose opportunities, you lose yourself. So as we move forward, understand this. What you're about to hear may sound simple, but simplicity is often the loudest wisdom. If you let these secrets in, they will shake you, heal you, and rebuild you. If you ignore them, life will keep whispering lessons through heartbreak, failure, and loss, until you have no choice but to listen. The only question is, will you wake up now, while there's still time? Or will you wait until life forces you to? Because the first secret is waiting. And once you hear it, you will never see yourself or your pain the same way again. The first secret Shetty would whisper into your soul is this: stillness isn't weakness, it's power. In a world that glorifies noise, speed, and endless hustle, silence feels like surrender. But ask yourself, has the chaos ever healed you? Has distraction ever answered the questions that haunt you at night? No. It's in the quiet where truth finally dares to speak. Jay once said, "The challenge is we don't listen to understand. We listen to reply." That's why silence feels uncomfortable, because it forces us to listen to ourselves. And that's terrifying, because when the noise stops, the voices in your head get louder, the heartbreak you've avoided, the failures you've buried, the shame you never admitted. But if you lean into that discomfort instead of running from it, you discover clarity sharper than any plan, deeper than any strategy. Picture a man who just lost the love of his life. He fills his calendar, drowns in work, forces himself into parties. Outwardly, he's moving on. But in the silence of midnight, he scrolls through old messages with tears he'll never admit to. That silence isn't his enemy, it's his teacher. If he dares to sit in it, he learns not how to erase pain, but how to transform it into wisdom. That's the gift of stillness. It strips away the illusions until all that's left is what matters. And here's the contrast: most people miss. Noise is easy. Silence is strength. It takes courage to unplug, to sit with yourself, to face the mirror of your soul. Yet those who master stillness carry a calm that no storm can shake. They move through life like grounded mountains, while everyone else trembles like leaves in the wind. That's why this first secret matters. Without stillness, you can't see. And if you can't see, you'll keep stumbling in the dark. But clarity without connection is incomplete. That's where the second secret rises. The mirror of relationships. Shetty often says, the people you spend time with shape who you are. If you want to know where you'll end up, look at your circle. Yet it's deeper than just surrounding yourself with good people. Every person who enters your life is a mirror. They reflect your wounds, your growth, your hidden fears, and your untapped strengths. Think about the person who broke your heart. You could see them as a villain, or you could see them as a mirror reflecting what you needed to learn about love, self-worth, and boundaries. The anger you feel toward them is often the anger you've been holding against yourself. The betrayal you experienced may be the lesson to stop betraying your own values. This is the painful beauty of relationships. They don't just give us love, they reveal the cracks in the walls we've built around our hearts. Jay said, "Don't fall in love with someone's potential. Fall in love with who they are today and make peace with the truth." That's the mirror. Every time someone disappoints you, it's an invitation to stop living in illusions. Every time someone inspires you, it's a reflection of the greatness buried inside you. The people who trigger you are not punishments, they are teachers. Imagine two men. One spends his life blaming his ex, his boss, his friends, swearing that everyone else is the problem. The other asks, "What is this showing me about myself? Where do I need to heal, to grow, to rise?" The first man stays stuck, circling the same pain. The second man uses every relationship as fuel for transformation. Which one do you want to be? The tragedy is, most people choose the first path. They recycle heartbreak into bitterness instead of alchemy. They recycle rejection into shame instead of resilience. That's why the second secret is so life-changing. Because the moment you stop seeing relationships as accidents and start seeing them as mirrors, you reclaim your power. And here's the bridge. Stillness and relationships are not separate. They are intertwined. In stillness, you finally hear the lessons your relationships are teaching. In your relationships, you find the courage to go back into stillness and reflect. Together, they form a cycle of awakening. Silence gives you clarity, people give you mirrors, and you grow stronger each time. But here's the catch. If you miss these two secrets, you will repeat the same cycles endlessly. You'll leave one relationship only to find the same pain in another. You'll chase one distraction only to crash into the same emptiness. You'll think you're moving forward, but you're just running in circles. Jay reminds us, you don't break a habit by pretending it doesn't exist. You break it by replacing it with a new one. The same is true of heartbreak and failure. You don't heal by pretending they didn't happen. You heal by sitting still long enough to feel them, by reflecting in the mirror of relationships until you see the lesson clearly. That's when pain becomes your compass instead of your cage. So as you sit here listening, maybe you feel the sting of a recent breakup or the weight of another failure. Maybe you're tired of pretending you're fine when inside you're collapsing. That pain isn't here to destroy you. It's here to wake you up. Stillness will give you the clarity. Relationships will give you the mirrors. Together, they'll guide you back to the version of yourself you've been searching for all along. But don't get too comfortable, because clarity and mirrors are just the beginning. There are deeper truths ahead. Secrets about purpose, energy, and the force that will either make your life magnificent or meaningless. And if you think the first two secrets shook you, the next one might just break everything you thought you knew about success. The third secret is one of the hardest pills to swallow because it exposes a lie we've all been sold: success equals fulfillment. How many times have you been told that if you just work harder, make more money, get the promotion, or win her back, you'll finally feel complete? And yet, every time you reach the milestone, the satisfaction fades. That's because climbing the wrong ladder doesn't get you closer to the right rooftop. Shetty often says, "We think we're chasing happiness, but really we're chasing pleasure. And pleasure is just a moment, while happiness is a state." That's why so many people feel empty even after making it. The titles, the houses, the followers, they don't silence the ache inside. Purpose does. Without purpose, life becomes an endless sprint on a treadmill that never stops. With purpose, even the smallest step feels like progress toward destiny. Imagine a man who spends 20 years climbing the corporate mountain. He sacrifices sleep, family, even love, just to stand at the top. But when he finally arrives, he realizes he's alone, and worse. The view doesn't match the dream. That is the tragedy of living without purpose. And here's the contrast: another man works a modest job, but he knows why he wakes up every morning. He serves, he creates, he gives. His paycheck may not be huge, but his heart is. Which one is really rich? Jay said, your passion becomes a purpose when you use it to serve others. That's the compass you've been missing. The heartbreak you suffered, the failure that crushed you. What if those were not punishments, but blueprints? What if the pain you endured was shaping you into the person who could guide others out of their darkness? When you see your struggles as seeds of purpose, nothing is wasted, not even your worst mistakes. But knowing your purpose is only half the battle. The fourth secret is this: energy is the true currency of life. Time is important, yes. But what good is 24 hours if your energy is drained, your mind is scattered, and your heart is heavy? You don't live life by minutes. You live it by energy. Jay once wrote, don't let people who don't care about you steal your energy. Yet every day, that's exactly what we do. We hand our energy to arguments, to toxic people, to endless scrolling. We spend our best hours on distractions that give us nothing in return. And then we wonder why we feel bankrupt inside. Think of your energy like coins. Every morning, you wake up with 100 coins to spend. If you waste 50 on gossip, 20 on fear, and 20 more on replaying the breakup in your head, what's left for your dreams? What's left for your purpose? The truth is, most of us are not broke in time. We're broke in energy. Now picture the opposite. A man wakes up and spends his first 10 coins on gratitude, another 20 on his craft, 30 on his health, and the rest on people who fuel him instead of draining him. By the end of the day, he's not empty, he's alive. That's the power of mastering energy. It doesn't just change your days, it changes your destiny. And here's the painful contrast: without purpose, your energy leaks into every empty pursuit. Without energy, your purpose dies as a dream. That's why these two secrets are inseparable. Purpose tells you where to go. Energy gives you the strength to get there. Together, they make life unstoppable. But don't mistake this for easy work. Discovering your purpose means questioning everything society told you. Protecting your energy means saying no to people and patterns that once defined you. It's not simple, it's sacred. And if you don't commit to it, life will keep bleeding you dry. Jay reminds us, you cannot be anything you want, but you can be everything you are. Purpose isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming fully yourself. Energy isn't about being endlessly hyper. It's about being aligned, fueled by what matters most. So as you listen, ask yourself, what ladder am I climbing right now? Am I chasing purpose, or am I chasing approval? Where am I spending my 100 coins of energy every morning? Do I even know? These are not casual questions. They are the questions that decide whether your future will be filled with regret or rebirth. Because here's the truth. Purpose will set your direction. Energy will set your pace. But even both together are not enough if you miss the final secret. The secret that transforms your journey from being about you to being about something greater than you. And without it, everything you build will eventually crumble. That last secret is waiting, and it's the most powerful of them all. The fifth secret is the one that feels the most counterintuitive in a world obsessed with taking, winning, and proving. It's the secret of service. The paradox that the more you give, the more you grow. At first, it sounds soft, almost naive. How can giving to others heal my heartbreak? How can service rebuild a man who feels like he's failed? But listen carefully, because this secret is not about charity, it's about freedom. Shetty once said, "Service is the highest purpose. It connects us to something beyond ourselves and frees us from the prison of self-obsession." And isn't that the very prison most of us are trapped in? We replay the breakup on loop, thinking only of what we lost. We replay the failures, thinking only of how we look. Our minds become tiny cages where we are both the prisoner and the guard. Service smashes that cage wide open. Think about it. When was the last time you helped someone else, and, even for a moment, forgot your pain? Maybe you gave advice to a friend going through the same breakup. Maybe you showed up for a sibling who was struggling. In that moment, your focus shifted. Your pain didn't disappear, but it transformed. You realized you weren't useless. You weren't broken. You were needed. And that realization lights a fire that despair can't extinguish. Picture two men. One is crushed by heartbreak, sitting in the darkness of his room, endlessly scrolling, drowning in his own sorrow. The other, equally heartbroken, chooses to spend his evening mentoring a younger kid, teaching him lessons he had to learn the hard way. Both are hurting, but only one is healing. The difference? Service. One man's pain becomes poison, the other's pain becomes medicine. Jay reminds us, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Because when you serve, you stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What now?" You stop being defined by the person who left you or the job that broke you. You start being defined by the love you give, the light you share, the difference you make. That's a definition no one can take from you. And here's the cinematic contrast: without service, even purpose can become selfish. You can chase your dreams, protect your energy, and still feel hollow if it's all about you. But with service, even your scars become sacred. Your failures become fuel. Your heartbreak becomes a handbook for someone else's healing. Suddenly, your life is bigger than your pain. Imagine this. A man who once thought he had nothing to offer stands in front of a group of teenagers, telling his story of falling apart and rising again. They listen with wide eyes. Not because he's perfect, but because he's real. His service doesn't erase his past, it redeems it. This is the transformation service brings. It turns your wounds into wisdom, your losses into lessons, your pain into purpose. Jay said, "It's not about how much you do, but how much love you put into what you do that counts." Service isn't about grand gestures or fame. It's about intention. Holding the door for someone. Listening without judgment. Sharing the lessons your heartbreak carved into you. These small acts ripple wider than you realize, creating impact far beyond your sight. And in that impact you heal. Now pause and think, what if the very thing that broke you is the thing you were meant to use in service? What if your heartbreak is someone else's lifeline? What if your failure is the map another person needs to navigate theirs? Wouldn't that make your story sacred? Wouldn't that make your pain worth something? This is the final challenge. Don't just hear these 5 secrets. Live them. Stillness, relationships as mirrors, purpose as compass, energy as currency, and service as liberation. Together they form a code. Break one, and the structure wobbles. Live them all, and your life becomes unshakable. But here's the suspense. The secrets themselves don't change you. Your choice does. Knowing them means nothing if you don't act. You can leave this moment inspired, only to slip back into the same cycles tomorrow. Or you can decide right here, right now, to choose one secret, apply it today, and begin the transformation. Because the truth is, your life won't wait forever. Time keeps moving. Opportunities keep passing. The only question is, will you? Will you rise from the ashes of your heartbreak, your failures, your doubts, and live a life that outlives you? Shetty once wrote, "We'll only fall asleep in life when we forget to serve." Don't fall asleep again. Don't let these secrets fade like just another video you watched and forgot. Take one. Live it. Let it shift the ground beneath you. And when you do, you'll discover that the secrets were never really secrets at all. They were always inside you, waiting for you to wake up.